All right. Well, good afternoon and welcome everyone to CPACE Alliance's 2024 Annual National Roundup webinars. This is part one of two that we're going to be holding this week. And so for those actually who are new to our calls and for those who have certainly been part of our calls in the past, just as a kind of a little bit of a primer of what this is all about, we basically have created this forum and we've been doing this call for a few years now. And the whole goal behind it is to bring program administrators and our CPA members together to learn more about what different programs are doing and what they have done in the last year, what are the developments and the things that they're planning to work on in the coming year. And I think it's also too a great way for different program administrators to learn about the things that they're working on, in this case, for information sharing purposes, and that they can take ideas from different programs in order to basically then see if they can emulate and also use those very same best practices to grow and scale their particular programs in their particular jurisdiction. And so that is kind of the spirit of really what we do with these national Roundup webinars. And we're definitely hoping that we can continue to hold that tradition and that legacy with these calls for this year. So again, we appreciate you coming, and certainly we have a great we have a great roster of different presenters who are going to be going both today and on Thursday, where we have probably the most program administrators ever presenting on these calls. So we're really privileged to have kind of broken a new record for bringing all these different administrators together. All right, so just in terms of our agenda for today, I'm just going to give a quick overview of CPACE Alliance for those who are not as familiar with our organization. And also just go over just a few different housekeeping items as we go through doing these calls this afternoon and as well as on Thursday. And then this is just a list of the different programs who are featured for today, who will actually be presenting their updates to our programs, for the programs that they're doing. All right, so just very quickly, for CPACE Alliance, we're a nonprofit trade association who basically works on different efforts, in this case, to continue to build and grow the CPACE industry nationally, where basically what we work on are different kinds of activities like program as well as policy advocacy work. We do also work on different convenings, such as these that we do virtually, and then the in-person convenings that we also will put on, such as the inaugural Program Administrator Roundtable that we did last May in Chicago, which was really kind of one of the highlights of our year last year. And as well as that, we also kind of spread different thought leadership activities by creating white papers that will talk about best practices in different aspects of program administration of these CPACE programs all across the country. So, and then also too, the thing that we can boast is that our membership is ever growing. We're now very close to 30 members as CPACE Alliance, and we're definitely hopeful that that membership will continue to grow and that our umbrella will get all the more bigger. All right, and then so in terms of our housekeeping items, so that we keep these calls running efficiently and without interruption. So first and foremost, please keep your microphone muted and your video turned off during the webinar if you yourself are not the presenter who is going to be giving the program's updates. And again, this is just to ensure that we don't have any unwarranted interruptions and we're being respectful to all program administrators and presenters during the course of the calls. As well, the questions from the moderator and audience will be taken and answered after each program completes their updates. So, and then we ask you to please place your questions in the chat area, and your questions will be monitored, and then we'll try to get to as many of those questions as we possibly can during the course of today's presentation. And then in terms of the program updates, let's go ahead and get those started. And so first up here for us this afternoon is the great state of Florida, in which case the Florida Development Finance Corporation is the administrator. And I will then give the microphone to Ryan to give his update. So Ryan, please take it away.
Yes, thanks, Nick. And hello, everybody. Just appreciate the time and just let you know down here in Florida, we are safe in the 70s today and the iguanas are happy and back awake. So looking forward to meeting up with you guys again up in Chicago later in the year. But as it goes for us here in Florida, we've had a pretty good year. As you can see on the screen, really we began back in 2019 through 2022. We've had modest closings of 23 projects, with projects amount closing about just over 106 million. But what happened in 2023 was kind of an enlightenment here in Florida. We're seeing a lot of projects starting to flow through our system. We've had 10 closings in 2023 for just over 85 million, seeing much larger projects come into our pipeline, which we're looking forward to hopefully closing. And the achievements, again, go along with that. We were looking for at least 10 or more closings. In 2023, we hit that goal of 10 and exceeded our funding amount of 35 million. And for 2024, we're looking to really enhance collaboration with local stakeholders. I'm sure that many of you have heard Florida is going through some trials and tribulations regarding RPACE here in Florida, and has created some issues locally. We're fighting through those and trying to join with local stakeholders to improve communication with local jurisdictions to keep agreements in place, and also to execute new agreements. Further, we look to expand our provider network. We are a CPACE only provider administrator here in Florida, and I believe we have the majority of CPACE providers underneath our umbrella. We would like to increase that to 100%. That may not be possible, but that's our goal. And then from a performance and target, we look to increase 25% our annual aggregate number of closings and overall project funding amounts. Even in the midst of maybe some headwinds, we could probably do better than that. But those are our targets for the year, and open to listen to any questions or answer any questions you guys may have about our program.
Great. Well, thank you so much for the update. And thing, as I mentioned, yes, CPA is definitely here to help support your efforts. Definitely with what's been going on in the state of late. So we're definitely heavily involved, as you know, and we're definitely looking forward to continuing to work on those efforts with you in the state. Just one question that I do have for you, actually, Ryan, is so who are the other commercial providers you're seeking to target or to expand your portfolio? And then does this include, for example, maybe getting to community and regional banks as a potential audience?
Yes, we would like it. We actually have a couple of regional banks that are underneath our umbrella, but generally speaking, I think we have the majority of the typical CPACE provider underneath our umbrella. There are a couple that are underneath other entities, but we are working with different groups to onboard some banks. Again, Nicholas, that comes with them gaining comfort with the program. And right now, with a little bit of the issues we have here in Florida, it may stymie that slightly, but we are looking to bring on some banks.
Great. Yeah, definitely like hearing that in this case. And then one question that we did have from the audience was, again, what was your largest project that you closed in 2023?
Our largest project we closed in 2023 is right off the top of my head. Hold on 1 second. It's a great question. The largest project that we closed in 2023 was for $35 million. And I don't have any other information right in front of me. I apologize. Wasn't prepared for that question.
No, that's quite all right. But that's fantastic to hear in terms of the largest project that was closed for you folks last year. And hopefully many more of those to come. So I know, Ryan, I know you got to jump. You have another important call to get to. So thank you so much for your update. And again, much success, obviously, in the year ahead with your CPACE program.
Hey, thank you so much, Nick. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Oh, great. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Bye.
All right. All right. And then so with that, let's go on to the next program and staying now in the state of Illinois. And let's start first with the Illinois Energy Conservation Authority and give this over to Nick for the next update. So Nick, take it away.
Thank you, Nick. So my name is Nick Rocker. I represent the Illinois Energy Conservation Authority, or IECA. We're the nonprofit program admin in Illinois, providing CPACE admin services to our 15 partner counties across Illinois, including most of the Chicagoland area and Collier counties. So 2023 was largely a success for our program in many ways. We closed 3 projects in 3 counties of varying characteristics. we had a smaller retrofit and solar project on an industrial facility. We had a new construction project for university student housing. And then we had a really exciting adaptive reuse project converting an old derelict manufacturing campus into a large multi-phased mixed use development. So some really exciting stuff. We're really excited to see where that last project leads, especially as kind of additional construction phases come online and are initiated. We're pretty optimistic that additional CPACE financing will be used as that progresses. IECA was also really busy with outreach efforts in 2023. We attended a lot of industry and government functions to generate some awareness and activity. And we also started implementing and holding recurring meetings, kind of standing meetings with officials from all of our partner counties to both kind of share project and program updates, solicit some feedback, and discuss some potential projects that they might be aware of. So, 2023 for us also had its share of challenges. For each project that closed last year, it feels like we had a couple of promising closings that for various reasons were delayed or stalled. For example, we had an additional $6 million new construction project in Chicago that actually slipped from its original closing date to just into the new year. So it's not on our 2023 scoreboard. But it seemed like there were lots of other factors that kind of played into that. Interest rate volatility has certainly played a role. And we even had a project where some conflict abroad actually impacted the senior lender and delayed that closing. Fortunately, a lot of those projects are on track here to close in 2021 or 2024 for us in the first quarter. In fact, our 2024 is actually looking really exciting. It feels like it's really front loaded with projects for us. We feel like we've got a really healthy pipeline of projects going, and we're really looking to continue expanding, participating partner counties, contractors, and especially qualified capital providers with an emphasis on bringing in more local lenders for CPACE. So we're also looking at some program updates to provide some extra incentives for renewable energy measures and maybe some extraordinary savings for water and energy, some extra carrots for buildings and projects that hit those targets. With that, I'll open it up to any questions.
Great. Thank you so much for the update, Nick. Yeah, I had actually just a couple quick questions. Why generally do you think that CPACE really hasn't been taken off more broadly throughout Illinois and really just been more sort of concentrated around the Chicagoland area?
We're actually seeing it take off more broadly. I mean, of those three projects that closed in last year for us, none of them were in Chicago. Now, granted, that first one that's closed this year was, but we're seeing it used more broadly, and especially it's such a great economic development tool too, because it helps a county meet its sustainability goals and generate economic development and all the great things about CPACE. So we're actually really optimistic about the continued use of CPACE in outside the Chicagoland.
Okay, well, that sounds great. Thank you certainly for correcting me then on that in this case.
No worries.
But in the end of the day, though, so you also then mentioned that you're keen to reach out to capital providers to get program suggestions, in this case, on making enhancements and then maybe even suggestions on fees. Do you intend to release maybe an actual public comment process, or you're just simply doing more informal outreach to capital providers in this case that say wouldn't be within, say, the umbrella of CPA? To try and provide that feedback. So how is that going to be structured in your program?
We're keeping it pretty informal at the moment. We've been gathering comments and critiques, not just from capital providers, but also from county officials that participate in counties. Granted, most of the comments we get from counties are quite positive. So we're really focusing on maintaining that good relationship we have with our partner counties, well, trying to make things a little smoother for participating capital providers.
All right, excellent. Well, again, thank you. If I don't actually see any other questions from the audience, So then hearing none, thank you again, Nick, for your update. And again, much success to you and IECA in your program in the coming year.
Thanks.
All right. All right, and with that, let's stay in the state of Illinois, and now let's hand it over to the Illinois Finance Authority's administered program. So let's give these microphone off to Brad. Brad, take it away.
Thanks, Nicholas. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Brad Fletcher, Senior Vice President of the Illinois Finance Authority. IFA is a state agency that has been in the long-term finance market for several decades, having issued more than $26 billion of debt on behalf of economic development projects in Illinois for private borrowers and private lenders, as well as for local governments. Today, I'll be providing an update on the Illinois Finance Authority PACE program, which is administered by the Illinois CPACE Open Market Initiative. Beginning with CPACE activity, most capital providers on this call will recall that IFA successfully financed about $75 million of PACE projects in Illinois between 2019 and 2022, either in collaboration with private label PACE programs, such as with the City of Chicago and Village of Rosemont, and in collaboration with capital providers on a discrete basis where no PACE program was otherwise readily available. Thereafter, the IFA PACE program began its first year of operational activity in January 2023, after being launched by IFA for counties and municipalities in Illinois in the fourth quarter of 2022. I'm pleased to report that during our first year of operations, the IFA PACE program successfully financed 2 PACE projects in an aggregate principal amount of approximately $8.8 million. One PACE project was for new construction of a multifamily asset in Mount Prospect, and the other PACE project was for the refinancing of a hospitality asset in Northbrook. Each municipality is located in Cook County. Achievements for the IFA PACE program's first year of operations include receipt of the IRS 51c3 determination letter for the Illinois CPACE Open Market Initiative in January 2023. Moreover, the program was widely accepted by market stakeholders in its first year, culminating in the establishment of the IFA PACE program by Joe Daviess County, Rock Island County, Sangamon County, and Tazewell County, as well as the establishment of the IFA PACE program by the municipalities of Alton, Decatur, East Moline, Galena, Mount Prospect, Northbrook, O'Fallon, Rochelle, Roselle, and Springfield, again, all within the first 12 months of operations. Each of these counties and municipalities have taken the necessary steps to include CPACE financing as a new tool in their economic development toolboxes, and IFA encourages capital providers to consider these local governments when originating new deals. This evening, the municipalities of Moline and Mount Carroll have included the enabling PACE ordinance for the IFA PACE program on their respective new business agendas too. And finally, looking ahead to the second year of operations in 2024, the IFA PACE program will remain focused on targeting the markets in Illinois that capital providers on this webinar are targeting, and will continue working with additional counties and municipalities to establish the IFA PACE program and scale operations. As always, the IFA PACE program welcomes new capital providers that qualify. My contact information, as you can see, is available at the bottom of the slide, as is the IFA PACE program's dedicated website. Many thanks to Cliff and Nicholas for putting this National Roundup webinar together, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Well, great. Thank you so much for the update, Brad. It definitely looks like you've made a significant progress in the past year with your burgeoning program, and definitely sounds like, yes, you're definitely going to continue those efforts into the coming year. And maybe, yeah, just as one question, out of curiosity, so like how many different counties and municipalities are you hoping maybe you'll go into in Illinois in the coming year?
Yeah, so, if you average it out, we're about, one local government a month, maybe 1.5 local government a month. So it seems to be where we're at. We're adopting anywhere from 1 or 2 ordinances per month as we continue to scale. Quite obviously, it was only our first year of operations, so, by word of mouth, as well as, collaboration with capital providers and informing the market at large, if you will, of the program's existence. We are seeing more interest than we saw in the first year, quite obviously. So we expect this to be somewhat exponential growth.
All right, well, that sounds great. And I really hope that you'll be able to achieve those goals and to be able to continue expanding the program. All right, well, I'm not seeing any questions in the chat. And yeah, not seeing any questions at this point. So, all right. Well, Brad, thank you so much for your update this afternoon. And of course, much success to Illinois Finance Authority in the coming year with your CPACE program.
Thank you, Nicholas.
All right. Okay, so let's now move a little further south now to Maryland, and we're going to now hand the microphone off to Dan. So Dan, please update us on what's going on in Maryland, and it's now in your court.
Thanks, Nick, and hello, everyone. Dan Lilly with Abacus Property Solutions. We are the program administrator for MD PACE, really serving the majority of the counties in the state of Maryland with the exclusion of Prince George and Montgomery. We've had pretty, I would say, rapid adoption with several of the Baltimore counties providing the majority of the deal flow. As you can see, 2023 we accelerated our dollar volume, which is led by an historic adaptive reuse of one of the oldest towers in the CBD at 210 North Charles, a 15-story building that was built prior to the beginning of the 20th century. So that was a very exciting deal. 210 unit apartment project ultimately. We have been gradually migrating. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit of an echo, so I apologize. We've been gradually migrating counties to the new updated ordinance that includes a number of resiliency measures. So we've been, again, getting a fair bit of traction with that in the new year, and we're hoping to bring the majority of the counties on board within the next 6 months. And the companion piece to our deal activity is to bring the small handful of mostly smaller and mostly somewhat rural counties into the fold for MD PACE. So I would say, given the underlying financial conditions that everybody's experiencing, we're pretty happy so far with the pace of deal flow through 2023. We've got, I would say, 3 active pipeline transactions, and looking to expand the program.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the update, Dan. And yeah, I'd say probably the one question I know I had probably off the top of my head is you did note the slow start to 2023, but a really, really fast ending though to the year. And so I guess, again, that is probably an improvement in people's, perspective of the macroeconomic conditions of the country and, basically what we're dealing with still with inflation and high interest rates. But so, and you're seemingly, are you feeling pretty confident that the same kind of momentum you got at the end of the year is going to carry forward into 2024?
Yeah, I think so. I think, I think one thing we're seeing is that the PACE tranche has a lot of utility in varied, financial stack situations. So, it's clearly serves a different purpose for new construction versus adaptive reuse. And I kind of make the analogy that it's like the utility infielder. It can play every position in the infield. So, I think what we're seeing is, broadly speaking, the senior lenders are recognizing that, that flexibility, and certainly owners are becoming increasingly sophisticated about how to use CPACE and strategically incorporate it into the capital stack.
Got it. All right. And then one other question that came in was just about what kind of resiliency measures, in this case, does Maryland allow basically as a CPACE financeable projects? Your colleague Abby obviously started to answer the question talking about stormwater management. Are there other kinds of categories that fall under resiliency that your program would cover?
Structural hardening and resiliency, flood mitigation, of course. Excuse me. And there are pretty broad base. So a lot of building envelope upgrades, on-site, certainly for coastal zones. They're very broad group of flood mitigation and stormwater management, ECA or elements that can be incorporated. And probably make an argument for IAQ measures in other kind of post-COVID kind of health and wellness.
Yeah.
Although we haven't seen any of those per se, but I think down the road, maybe look for those to be bundled in as well.
Well, that's great. And then actually, Abby too has been helping you out here. She's put a more comprehensive response here into the chat here as well. Also talking about alternative vehicle charging infrastructure, energy storage. So obviously then for better sort of power reliability concerns and things of that nature. And then yeah, she was just beginning to touch on about sort of health and safety type measures as well. So all that is in the chat for everybody to see as well in terms of those responses. All right, there was no other questions, and Dan, you're good to go here. And again, thank you so much for your update, and certainly best of luck again to the Maryland program in the coming year.
Thanks, Nick. Thank you, everybody.
All right, thanks a lot again, Dan. And we'll stick with basically in a similar area here. Let's go now to Virginia. And we're going to give it over to Abby. And of course, Abby's immediately going to get brownie points here, folks, because she's in Norway doing this presentation. So it's very late at night, I know, on her end. And definitely, we don't want to keep her too late. So Abby, go ahead and take it away for the Virginia update.
All right, thanks. And for Justice point, this backdrop is actually from Williamsburg, Virginia, but worked out. Seems like it's bright here. It's pretty dark here. Thanks, Nick. So I think it's actually good to put Virginia after Maryland because we also we manage Virginia through our nonprofit, and it has a very similar, let's just say, group of measures that can be financed. So we also have resiliency, environmental remediation, stormwater management, EV charging, as well as the usual, their usual suspects of energy efficiency, renewables, and water efficiency. So pretty much you can pretty much do everything you can do in Maryland and Virginia, but I think we're even broader in that we say, here's the list, but that's not all. So we have the ability to try to if there's a resiliency measure that's not listed, it's not excluded. It's not as prescriptive. It's a little more prescriptive in Maryland, even though it's still very broad. So, Virginia has been a long, long time coming. We had local programs, all quite different, made it hard to kind of get traction starting in 2019. Then with also help with a lot of your members and also CPACE Alliance themselves, we were able to put together a set of documents for our new statewide program that we spent years getting legislatively passed and approved. So we're sponsored by the Virginia Department of Energy. We won their contract competitively. And for about 16 months, we've been running that program. And since then, it's, the first year was really spent. I mean, we had the issues with, just the slowdown from interest rates rising and being a new market, but we definitely worked hard on the side of getting jurisdictions on board. So we have most of the bigger jurisdictions, such as Loudoun and Fairfax County and Virginia Beach, have moved over to the state program. And then we have localities that were not in the state program that were new, like Prince William and Richmond, the city of Richmond. That was a long time coming. Chesterfield and Henrico. These are, we have a total of 13, 14 probably in the next week or so. But these were ones that we've been really working hard on for a long time. And so basically what I would say is we now have mainly the Crescent. The Crescent's known in Virginia is from basically the part of Northern Virginia, the Loudoun, Fairfax, Alexandria, probably Prince William now. We don't have Arlington, but hopefully one day. And then down the 95 corridor, we have Prince William, and we're going to get Fredericksburg statewide. We have Central Virginia, Richmond and its Collar counties, and then we have Eastern Virginia, which is Hampton Roads, of which we have about two of the very large jurisdictions and other ones coming on board. So basically, that's very well in terms of looking at where you want to fund. That's where the bulk of the commercial real estate is, or the value real estate. And then we have some, a few localities along the Shenandoah that are also online. So we're excited about that. We see a lot of momentum from that, but we're very excited that we did close 2 projects just at the tail end of the year. It was a really nice holiday present to have. So 2 deals totaling almost 11.4 million. One, it's kind of nice in the sense that one was more of a standard project. It was a new build, assisted living. It was, energy efficiency improvements for the most part. So, that's kind of the new construction side. And then we had got rehab of a historic hotel in Petersburg. And so that was nice because you're showing the use in a very kind of similar to what Dan was talking about for 210 North Charles. It was it shows a really nice way of revitalizing the community. So this is something we're going to be officially publicizing in the next week or 2 through press releases, but we really see that is going to, we believe, gear up momentum for the next year. We see a lot more excitement and understanding once you prove the concept. You can say it's in Maryland and DC and everywhere else, but in Virginia, they want to see the deals that happened in Virginia. So it was really exciting that happened, and we appreciate both Nuveen and Pace Equity. They were great partners in these ventures at the end of the year. We do see, we think that we'll be able to close 5 transactions. We think we have 10 localities pretty close to getting to go. A few again in the Collar counties and some additional ones. So up to 25, and that we're really doing a lot of marketing to that many, but we'd be happy with 10, kind of per Brad's point, like 1 a month, let's say. And, we really do think that we'll be able to, I think the momentum is really behind us, or not behind us, but it's really helping carrying us for the next year. So we're very optimistic about the way things are going. Also, the way the deals close, we feel like, honestly, there was the documents, they were reviewed. We had almost no questions from anyone. Sure, it's fresh. Counties knew about it. Capital providers knew about it, but I just thought the whole process went pretty smoothly. And so for those of you interested in our program, please reach out. We're happy to tell you about how it works, and I look forward to having you fund deals in our state.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the update, Abby. Again, glad to hear about the success, obviously, too, that you've had to get those late year projects closed. That's really fantastic to hear, and I hope more success to come, certainly in the coming year. And I was looking just to see if anybody's had any questions. It's not seeing any coming in the chat. All right. If I maybe just had one question to ask you. So you're saying you're starting to increase your outreach to different stakeholder groups to continue to expand the program in Virginia. So what kind of trade associations or different kinds of affinity groups are you trying to get in front of to start spreading more of the CPA's gospel to them?
Right. Yeah, I'd say that we knew about what's called the planning district commissions or economic development authorities that are very big in Virginia. They're very strong. So we're definitely going to do more outreach to those. We're going to also focus on some of the areas we know are very interested, even the rural areas, to do large scale solar, things like that. And of course, we have our commercial real estate groups that we're going to reach out to, but we're also really looking to directly contact large entities, industrial entities that we find through different kind of these, for lack of a better word, JPA type, these authorities that are around the state. I'm also trying to use the platform of being on the Housing Finance Board to basically be able to, get through kind of their network, because their network is very broad and it's not just for housing that they deal with. They do a lot of economic development, like with Amazon, for example. So yeah, pretty much brokers, mortgage brokers, commercial real estate, economic development. That's our basket.
All right, well, that sounds great. Well, yeah, best of luck when you're talking to those different groups in this case, and maybe even expanding that
Thank you, Nick.
that particular sort of avenue of people that you're going to talk to. So, all right, okay,
Thanks.
all right. Well, thank you so much, Abby, for your update here. And of course, I don't want to keep you from sleep being overseas, but certainly thank you for your update. And again, best of luck to your program in the coming year. All right. Okay, so now we're going to head into the Midwest and go over to Minnesota. And we're going to now give the microphone to Holly to give her update on their program. So Holly, please take it away.
Thank you. I'm Holly Houston, and I work for the St. Paul Port Authority, and we are the program administrators. And our program's called MinPace. I'm seeing that I should have made that very prominent, which I didn't. So I will tell you our MinPace program so far. Cumulatively, we have over 500 projects and $275 million of PACE loans. Our program began in 2010. In 2023, we had 28 projects and just shy of $51 million of PACE loans. And what we're really seeing, what we saw in 2023 is that similar to some other people, that the value is growing. So we closed our largest PACE loan this year at 28 million. And so that's really driving our growth. So we might not have as many loans, but the size of those loans is increasing. And we're seeing that there's really a trend in new construction in Minnesota. And let's see, this isn't on the slide, but just to recap, I just provided this to my board today that of these projects, 60% was related to building energy savings and 40% of the projects were related to solar. And as I mentioned, we are seeing less projects this year, but higher value. And we've also, my predecessor, Pete Klein, who we just honored today, before he left, he also made replied to the greenhouse gas reduction fund proposals. And so a letter of interest was provided that Minnesota is definitely interested and supportive of the different initiatives that reduction fund will bring. So looking ahead, so I have the goal of having $55 million in PACE investments over the next year to increase our marketing and outreach, to improve our website and application process to just make it easier for people, and to fully leverage any state and other federal funding opportunities to increase energy saving loans across the state. And so Minnesota has a lot of other supportive things that they're also standing up. And so we're definitely in conversations with the state agencies to see how we can collaborate and get the word out there and market PACE and continue to grow this good work.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the update, Holly. I mean, this is all sounding like really great news and very promising news, especially with the great year it seems like you folks had last year, even despite all the headwinds of the macroeconomic concerns in the country still. So I think this is all really great progress. I'm hoping that I'm not breaking some news here in this case, but I know that I'd seen a press release from the Department of Energy about a double ECBG grant that Minnesota, as a sort of statewide applicant, won. In which case some of that funding is going to be used actually within, I think, the CPACE program I saw, I think, for helping to subsidize or even pay for energy audits. Do you mind telling folks about a little bit more about this development and it's being maybe one of the federal sources you're going to be using to leverage CPACE with?
We definitely have been in contact with the Department of Commerce on their efforts there. And so we're definitely partnering with them to just create some consistent messaging around what PACE is and what PACE isn't. They are looking to have some smaller regional, I'm losing the term. So like I'm sorry, I'm not going to use the right,
okay.
Smaller organizations, community organizations, they're going to provide some opportunities for them to pilot their own PACE program. So these would definitely be smaller projects. And so they have a few in mind. So they'll be doing an RFP process to hand out that funding. And then that's great news that I suggested they use some of their funding for energy audits. So that's great that they're using that suggestion. So I haven't read the press release yet. I've been swamped. So that's about as much as I know.
Gotcha. All right. Well, that sounds great in this case. And one other question that I did have, you were mentioning that you're seeking to improve the application process of your program to help with driving more demand, basically, for your program in this case. So what sort of aspects of the application process are you looking to improve? And would with this process that you're going to do, are you seeking to get any sort of outside input from stakeholders in this case, in terms of trying to help to improve that process?
Absolutely. I think our application process, I think sometimes the steps of how to acquire a PACE loan is confusing. And so I think what I'm looking to do is just make our website a little bit more clear on what the steps are. And then also potentially, increase traffic and talk about the lenders that we've worked with before, and not necessarily promote, but just say these are people that we've worked with and have done projects with across the state of Minnesota. I think right now we can invest more in our application process. So we've definitely looked to other states and talked with capital providers on what is working and not working. And so I definitely have my work cut out for me.
Got it. All right. Well, definitely, if you're going to open up any kind of a process in this case to solicit feedback from stakeholders from the outside, definitely, I'm sure our members will be very interested, and we'll definitely be happy to help.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Nicholas.
All right. If there are any other questions for Holly, I don't see any coming through the chat. All right. So, Holly, thank you so much for your update. And again, keep up the great work, and certainly wishing you success in 2024.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. All right. Now let's move a little further west to Montana. And I'm going to give the microphone now over to Carolyn of their program. And so, Carolyn, please take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Carolyn Jones. I work for the Montana Facility Finance Authority and managing the Last Best PACE program. So we were authorized in our legislative session in 2021 and launched in 2022, during which we had the one project of $5.5 million with the first privately financed PACE water district in the nation on that. 2023, I came on board to help Seth and Adam at the end of 2022. So 2023 was getting me up to speed and on board and doing a lot of presentations out with our local governments, our business industries, our economic development partners throughout the state. With the situation, especially with the interest rates, we did not actually have any deals close in 2023. In addition to the interest rates, a lot of our projects that we spoke with are in rural areas. So with the additional funding through the Inflation Reduction Act, through the USDA Rural Development REAP program, we worked with our partners at Rural Development and a lot of business owners to help them get through the REAP process, which of course is definitely a benefit for them to get those grant funds. However, it does just take time to get through that process and realize how much of the project actually needs to be funded. Also with some of the other federal programs, such as the State Small Business Credit Initiative program, with the way Montana implemented their program, is very, very low interest rate. Rates were set prior to the interest rate increases that have been occurring. So we did lose a few projects that was just much more financially stable for the business to go through that program. So continue to get the information out, though. Our achievements, though, in the meantime, during that time frame, during all those presentations, we did have 3 additional counties and 1 additional city pass our CPACE districts. Montana is basically a statewide administrator, and our local governments can opt in. The three that we did have passed in 2023 for the counties were all very rural counties. All three of them combined have a population of less than 27,000 people. So, and rural counties, even though they're rural, they count. One of those rural counties that just recently passed the CPACE district, it was just recently announced last month that a German company, Vacom, is coming over and will be doing a $90 million investment into that community with 500 new jobs in that area by 2029. So even those little rural communities can help. We've updated our program guidelines, created our registered contractor list for our program website to have that available more. And then for our objectives, we continue to increase our meetings of getting local governments interested in adopting our CPACE districts. And we will be working on generating our lender list for programs websites, mostly focusing on local and regional lenders. And we've got about 20 potential projects in the pipeline, 4 of which we hope to maybe close in the first quarter, all of which though will be under $500,000. So happy to take any questions if anybody has any.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much for the update, Carolyn. It definitely sounds like you've been keeping busy throughout all of 2023 to help with standing up the program and expanding it more. So again, fantastic work. And I'm really hopeful that the seeds that you were planting in 2023 are going to bear fruit in 2024 for you folks. So yeah, any questions from any of our audience? I am not seeing any. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for the update, Carolyn. We appreciate it. And of course, again, much success to your program in 2024.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care. All right. Let's now move a little further south to Oklahoma. And I'm going to open up the line now to Nancy. So Nancy, please go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Nick. And good afternoon, everyone. I'm very happy to join you all today for the annual update. So Oklahoma's program has been in existence since 2021. The statute was made, updated so that CPACE, so that we could, promote CPACE and create a viable program here back in 2020. So I'll also mention that INCOG is one of 11 regional association of government throughout the state of Oklahoma. And we were just simply the original interested party that stepped forward when back in 2018, 2019, when Tulsa County prompted us to look into CPACE, and it made a whole lot of sense. And we were excited to take the reins and lead the statewide program development of Oklahoma CPACE, which is what we have today. So we have 17 counties currently up and running throughout the state. Oklahoma CPACE is a templatable, we think, very streamlined and efficient program for counties to opt in and for capital providers to join us in partnership in promoting CPACE efficiently throughout the state. Of those current 17 counties, there's a separately administered Oklahoma County program, but essentially it is the same Oklahoma CPACE guidelines, essentially the same form documents, the same application check sheet, the same streamlined, simplified process. It is simply administered through Oklahoma County's Oklahoma Industries Authority. So the two main metropolitan areas in the state are, of course, in Oklahoma City and Tulsa, and the program expands from there. The numbers that I've put in front of you are those green counties that are the counties outside of Oklahoma County. So that would be up through 2022. We closed 6 projects for $16.2 million in CPACE financing. And in 2023, it was sort of slow and steady there again, finally completing the year 2023 with 4 projects and $36.8 million in financing. I have Keith, Oklahoma County, permission to share with you their numbers as well. So they've also closed, they closed 6 projects totally. And their 6th project was a a wonderful, significant downtown Oklahoma City mixed development project in 2023, which was a 28.4 million financed project. But so including key throughout the state, to date, we've closed 16 projects for 87 million, approximately 87 million in CPACE financing. Rather proud of that slow and steady growth. And moving into specifics of last year, we added 7 additional counties. And so now that coverage of Greene and Oklahoma County covers approximately 70% of the population. Added new capital providers, which we're very, very pleased with. And also completed in December a successful statewide live webinar, which has been posted to oklahomacpace.org. We're looking forward to a successful 2024 with updated program guidelines. It hasn't been updated since 2021, and there won't be anything real significant to the programmatic eligibility or anything like that. Of significance, the issue will be an increase in the cap of program administrator fees from a $50,000 cap to a $75,000 cap, but no change in the fee structure whatsoever. And we hope you'll see great updates to the Oklahoma CPACE.org website, and we hope to be able to provide newsletter and some updates on closed projects, successes, and that kinds of things. So I think I've gone over my time. I apologize, but I'm glad to take any questions if there are any.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much for the update, Nancy. We appreciate it. What would you attribute or credit the increase in the number of capital providers in your program to in 2023? Was there any particular activities you were doing to really reach out, or was there just some program aspects you think maybe that these capital providers were attracted to that brought them into your program? So what would you give it credit to?
Well, that's a good question. I'd like to say, because we make it easy to reach out and we do respond, Slipstream has been a come by our side invaluable support. Both Oklahoma County and INCOG's program contract with Slipstream for that support. And so we want to be able to respond efficiently, quickly, and in a friendly manner, quickly to capital providers. We have seen a whole lot of interest throughout the state. And I think that we're hearing from capital providers that they also are hearing from Oklahoma developers and property owners. And they're hearing about this thing called CPACE. They're reaching out directly to capital providers who are then contacting us, and we're responding and going to work. So I think it's a matter of partnership and ability to provide that response and to work together.
All right, well, great. That certainly sounds wonderful in this case, and then hopefully that trend continues into the coming year. Okay, and I don't see any other questions coming in through the chat, so I guess we'll say here that Nancy, thank you so much for the update that you had provided us, and certainly best of luck to your program in the coming year.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. All right, well, let's go ahead now a little further west now to Oregon. And actually, this is one of our newest programs in this case, who's giving their first update on our calls. So let me hand the microphone now to Jen, who will then give the update for their program. So Jen, please take it away. Jen, are you on mute?
Yes, sorry.
It's kind of right. Go ahead.
Thank you for that introduction, Nicholas. As Jen Patterson here from Deschutes County, Oregon. As Nicholas mentioned, we are one of the newer programs. Oregon State Legislature adopted a CPACE into state law. I think back in 2016, the largest county in the state, which is Multnomah County, where Portland is located, has had a CPACE program up and running since that time, but no other counties have adopted it. And in 2022, Deschutes County adopted a program where we're a relatively smaller county, about 190,000 people. And at the time, we did have some interest in specific programs or specific projects from developers that I've continued to work with throughout the last year and a half. Unfortunately, right now, the projects are a little bit smaller, and so they're having a little bit of a hard time getting that penciled out. And so we're continuing to work with capital providers and the developers to provide the support as we can. Some of the achievements from last year was holding a conference. It was a local Central Oregon conference with the Builders and Realtors Association. It was a sold-out event. It was a pretty decent turnout for the size of our county. We had about 40 developers and a couple of local providers in the room to promote CPA's program. There was a lot of interest coming out of that. And since August 2022, I've had many counties throughout the state reach out to me. We've had at least 3 counties adopt that, as well as 1 city. And I see that my counterpart from that city, Charles Knight, is on this call as well. So happy to have him join the conversation as well. We're working together. We're trying to work together as more counties and local government entities come on board to build a unified program with the intent to attract more capital providers and ensure a smooth, uniform process across the state. We really haven't had our program is built out based on some other programs throughout the country. The Multnomah County program is built out very differently. And so we haven't really been able to test our program and our application process. And we're looking forward to any of the counties that have recently come on board in Oregon, getting a project and working together to, enact best practices from how to do for an application standpoint, particularly to attract more capital providers there. 2024 objectives and such, again, as I mentioned earlier, we're really looking to overcome the barriers to getting smaller projects financed. We've had a lot of conversations with capital providers, a couple that are actually providers throughout the country, but are based in the state to try to figure out a way to be able to promote some smaller projects and get the numbers to pencil out there. We are, as I mentioned, we're a smaller market and we just don't have the opportunities per se for larger scale projects. Although very recently I've been contacted about potentially a larger scale project. So we're hoping to make that work. And again, we're going to work with our counterparts throughout the state to promote and market projects to bolster awareness and opportunities of the benefits of CPACE. I'd say that one of the other challenges I didn't mention on here is the way this is structured is that each local government entity is their own administrator. So we don't have a statewide administration program. And so for me in Deschutes County, the CPACE program is about 3 to 5% of my total job duties. And so it's really hard to do any sort of independent promotion or independent work to get it to grow more. So we're really hoping to be able to rely on, our counterparts throughout the other counties that have enacted CPACE and be able to work together to pool our resources, since none of us are specifically, we're the CPACE administrators for our local government, but not specifically that's our only job title within our local entities. So I'll leave it there and open it up to any questions.
Well, thank you so much, Jen, for the update in this case. And, certainly the issues and certainly those constraints that you speak of, because you are basically the only person who does it. And, you might be, subdivided doing other duties in this case. This is something I've definitely heard from other programs that you really can't put all your full efforts into promoting and to maybe running the program. So I think this is something that's, I think, shared from other programs. And I'm sure you could probably speak to other programs and they can probably help give you some advice on, I think, how you can overcome those particular challenges, with helping to expand and grow the program throughout Deschutes County. But then I think one question I do have is it seems like you're saying that, you're seeing the same kind of barriers I think that a lot of other programs are also facing, and that's trying to reach to funding these smaller to medium-sized projects. So what are the different avenues you're exploring to help overcome those barriers to getting those projects done?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. So there's not a lot of opportunity for me to explore overcoming those barriers just due to time constraints. We have had the support of the organization called 350, and it's particularly in our county, it's 350 Deschutes, but it's a national climate change organization who really was instrumental in pushing this program forward in our county. And they have put on yearly conferences. They do a Go Green Energy conference. And they've, in the last 2 years, the first year it was, I I think half of a day was specifically for CPACE as we were brand new on board. And then this past year, I think it took place this fall, it was a quarter of the conference was designated towards CPACE. So we were able to bring out, so those developers and potential projects, contacts I've had, were able to attend the conference. We had the capital providers in our state and also remotely join us. Some that I'd actually met at the CPACE Alliance conference last May in Chicago, and be able to make some of those connections. So right now my resources are pretty limited. So it's being able to connect them as much as possible, the developers and the capital providers together, and support that as best as I can. But again, my resources are pretty limited beyond that support.
No, I got it. I got you in this case, and I understand perfectly in this case, those circumstances you're facing, to kind of help to get over those barriers. So, well, definitely best of luck of trying to overcome those constraints, and then being able to build out and have a successful program in Deschutes. So, that's definitely something I think we're all pulling for here in the CPACE industry. So, are there any other questions for Jen today? All right, I'm not seeing any here in the chat. All right, well, again, thank you so much, Jen, for your update today. And of course, best of luck to you on meeting your 2024 objectives and goals for the Deschutes program.
Thank you, Nicholas. And I'll just give a shout out that by you hosting these online forums and the in-person conferences really helped to expand the limited resources that we have. So I do appreciate you pulling that together.
Oh, well, we definitely appreciate that as well. Again, thank you so much, Jen. All right, well, thank you so much again. All right, so let's now move then further back east to Pennsylvania. And so I'm going to give the floor now to either Scott or Kelly, who's giving the presentation today. So I'll turn over to one of you.
Hi, thanks, Nick. Yeah, Kelly Sanders here. So thank you for having us. And as you may know, Sustainable Energy Fund is a nonprofit in Pennsylvania. We do a variety of programs and have done lending in the clean energy field for a number of years. And so we're the program administrator for counties outside of Philadelphia. So cumulatively, we've closed we've closed 10 projects. I'm sorry, I was looking at a previous screen. So yeah, 8 projects for 35 million. And then this past year in 2023, we did close 2 projects for a total of a little over 18 million. Some achievements this year, we enabled 5 additional counties just in 2023. So, and some of those, one county in particular, some of those counties were big hurdles. But we now have 27 out of the 67 counties opted into the program, which may not sound like a lot, but for those that know the demographics of Pennsylvania, that's a little over, it's about 75% of all of Pennsylvania, the population, which is great. So for this year, we would like to continue educational outreach, which we've still, even though the program in PA is not brand new, still fairly new, enabled in 2018. So still finding a lot of developers don't really know too much about it. So continuing that educational outreach for folks, and then increase the utilization of CPACE, hopefully in some new counties, some additional areas of Pennsylvania. And that's all I have.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the update, Kelly. We appreciate it. Probably, I think the question, that I have is obviously, CPA, we were very helpful, obviously, in getting the state legislation amended and then getting it really truly expanded. How are you seeing, what is the reception, obviously, to the expanded program with now allowing multifamily properties to be improved, and as well as with different indoor air quality improvements and the like? Is it just seeming like more counties are coming on board and they're interested now because they're just seeing far more, they're seeing certainly that there's more you can do with the program now in this case than it was before those changes?
Yes, they are seeing the more that you can use it. I think the recent flooding we've had this year helps with resiliency as well. But I mean, I know Philadelphia, it's a different story. Unfortunately, we have yet to close a project that has used one of the new measures, but we may see that this year, so that'll be exciting.
Got it. All right. Well, that certainly all sounds great. I'm not seeing any questions from the audience in the chat at this point. So, all right. Well, again, thank you so much, Kelly, for the update, and definitely best of luck to your efforts in 2024.
Thanks.
All right. Take care now. Thank you. All right. Well, then we're going to stay, though, in the state of Pennsylvania, and let's go down to the local level in Philadelphia. And so now I'm going to turn things over to Lisa, who'll provide the update for the Philadelphia program. So take it away, Lisa.
Thank you very much. Can everybody hear me all right? I'm taking that as a yes.
I'm giving you the yes.
Okay, awesome. So I just to build on that conversation you just had with Kelly, we haven't closed anything that that uses the expanded measures of resiliency or IAQ, but in Philadelphia, all of the 6 projects that closed last year were either all or had a significant component of the project had multifamily. So I shudder to think what would have happened last year if we hadn't expanded and allowed multifamily to be an eligible project type, a building type. So cumulative. So you changed my slide. I had a graph, so I'm gonna look back and forth between my graph and this slide. But last year, so totally, we altogether since the program's inception, we closed 17 projects in Philly. 6 of them were last year, and they totaled $98 million. And which was that doubled our deal dollar amount in 1 year. So the 1 year equaled the previous 3 years in terms of dollars, and in part because we had our largest deal to date, which was $40 million. That was a very cool project that Northbridge ESG financed. And so Northbridge did their first deal in Philadelphia, as did Pace Equity, also did their first deal and in Philadelphia, and that was the $1 million. And I love the small ones. And actually, you'll see one of our goals is to try to do more small dollar deals in Philadelphia this year. So Pace Equity and Northbridge were new to Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, I believe. And we've continued to do a lot of education and outreach. I was at 58 events, either in person or virtually. So because we had several large deals, our median deal size was almost 13 million. They were all new construction or gut rehab, and they also were all energy efficiency, no solar. Our goals for this year are to increase small deal. As I mentioned, we would like to bring more new capital providers to Philly, and we really want to see solar adoption. And I think anyway, and then continue our DEI initiatives. So happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Well, great. Thank you so much for the update, Lisa. We appreciate it. Yeah, maybe just capping off on that last point in this case. So what are some of the sort of DEI initiatives that you're implementing in your program to help make sure that CPACE is getting to all communities in this case in around the city of Philadelphia?
Yeah, I think that there's a couple of things that we're doing. One is that the smaller, trying to create more standardized methodology or standardized documents, and working with local community lenders will make CPACE more accessible to less capitalized property owners, which in the case of Philadelphia is largely is very much minority Black owned buildings and businesses. We've also done some kind of deep outreach and with 2 Black-owned developers to make sure they understand about the opportunity with CPACE, and we're actually creating some a video project where we've interviewed some of these developers, not specific about CPACE, but more generally what their experience is as a developer in the city, and gonna build on that and see where that goes.
Got it. Great. And that really sounds great, what you're going to be undertaking in the coming year with those initiatives. That really sounds wonderful. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any other questions in the chat for you. So again, thank you so much, Lisa, for the update, and certainly best of luck to your program in the coming year. All right. Thank you again. All right, let's then move back on down to the south and to Texas. And I think I saw Lee or Ryan were on the call. And I'll hand it off to one or both of you in this case to give the update for Lone Star PACE.
Perfect. Thank you, Nicholas. I'm Ryan McCormick, one of the program administrators for Lone Star PACE. Glenn did have an emergency, so I'll be covering today. Well, esteemed administrators, colleagues, and members of the CPACE Alliance, thank you for joining us for our 2023 year in review. Over the past year, we had various challenges and made some significant progress, which we'd like to go over with you guys and reflect on our accomplishments, set the stage for the year ahead. So right now, as we sit, we've had through 2022, 13 projects closed totaling 63.1 million. Now in 2023 alone, we had well over that amount. I think we've seen a number of the administrators see increased volume in 2023, and it was here for us as well. It was a good year. I think the word is getting out about PACE. The education and adoption outreach that we've all been doing has been successful, along with a number of capital providers originating projects, and getting out there and making those connections has been beneficial as well. So our achievements can kind of boil down to 3 points. We doubled our annual volume from 2022, and we increased our jurisdictions to 21, and that represents 57% of the Texas population. And we did complete the first life science transaction in Texas. Looking forward, the program opportunities and objectives are going to be pretty much the same as last year. We're looking to double the volume from 2023 and continue the program expansion, opting in new jurisdictions and creating PACE territories, and facilitate the education and outreach. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much for that comprehensive update. We appreciate it, Ryan. Yeah, actually, the first thing that I know when I was looking over your slide in this case was you were talking about this life science project. So can you go a little bit more detail about what kind of a life science project we're talking about?
Yeah, it was in the design district. It's the Pegasus project of 35. It was, let me check here. It was 11 million, and it was in Dallas County. It's really unique for the area because it was the first life science project in Dallas. So that's looking to become a hub for them, kind of on the horizon to move into that space. So it was great to be a part of it. It's a beautiful facility, lots of facilities for equipment for biolife research. Yep.
Got it. Well, that really sounds fantastic. And again, congratulations on that first kind of project being done in Texas. And then one other question that we did get in the chat in this case was, what was the largest project that Lone Star PACE had closed in your jurisdictions last year?
Sure, that would be the Blossom Hotel in Harris County, also known as the city of Houston. It was, I believe, 276 key boutique hotel. It was retroactive financing. It was a great transaction. Really enjoyed working on that, and just seeing the aesthetics of a beautiful boutique hotel.
And do you know how much CPACE financing was involved in the transaction?
22.5.
That's really great. And yeah, especially as a retroactive project too. So that's really wonderful to hear. All right. Well, I wasn't seeing any other questions coming in through the chat. So again, Ryan, thank you so much for the update from Lone Star PACE. And again, best of luck on your objectives and your activities in the coming year.
Thank you, Nicholas.
All right. All right. So this next presentation was supposed to be about Utah, but regrettably, Thede Wright Chappelle, who represents and runs the program, unfortunately had a last-minute conflict and was not going to be able to join our call today. So this is still just the information about Utah that she did provide to us. But what she has offered most generously to do is to basically take any questions or any comments you might have about the Utah program that she's offered to have you all reach out to her directly at a time that's convenient, and she'd be more than happy to answer any questions about certainly the slide that she provided to us for Utah's update. And as a way also to maybe just reiterate here, these slides are going to be disseminated after the calls that we're holding this week, and as well as these recordings, they're going to be posted to CPACE Alliance's YouTube channel, so you'll be able to review it in another place, and then be able to ask any questions of Thede that you might have based on the updates she provided. So again, she sends her apologies, and we certainly understand and hope all is well. All right, so with that, let's then go a little further west now to Thurston County, Washington. So also, again, a new program who's giving their first update on our calls. And so I'll be happy to turn the proceedings over to Rebecca. So Rebecca, take it away.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rebecca Harvey. I'm the Climate Mitigation Program Manager for Thurston County. Thurston County is the capital county of Washington. City of Olympia is located here. We have a population of just under 300,000, and we're at the south tip of the Puget Sound area, but fairly small market, not as big a market as our neighbors to the north, Pierce County and King County, where Seattle is located. Washington State just passed, just established the CPACER program. We call it CPACER with the R for resiliency. Through a House bill in 2020, and Thurston County passed its own CPACER ordinance in July 2022. I started in this position. I actually came from out of state, and I started in the fall of 2022. And at that time, I think Thurston County was the third or fourth county to pass the ordinance. Programs are managed here at the county level in Washington. So our CPACER program covers both incorporated and unincorporated Thurston County. And so in that fall of 2022, we developed an internal team of county staff to develop the application materials, guidance documents, and approval processes. We did that in communication with other counties who were going through it at the same time. And we are thankful to them, particularly Whatcom County up north, where Bellingham is, who was really helpful to us in getting those documents all online, developed the website, got it all our ducks in a row, and then we formally launched the CPACER program in February 2023. During those early months, and even before I got here, I heard there was a fair amount of interest, and we were contacted by a capital provider just as we were getting started, who had a project seemingly ready to go. But by the time we launched in early 2023, they contacted us, told us that project was on hold, haven't heard back from them or any others yet. So we have still yet to receive our first application here. And I know that the other counties in Washington are at the very beginning stages. So I think we just don't have the awareness and education out there in our state as of yet. The larger counties do have a few more. But again, Thurston County is a fairly small market. And so, you know, all that said, I can share a few 2023 achievements. In addition to launching the program and developing the internal administration process, we've engaged with our neighboring counties on program administration. We've initiated actually a working group of 6 counties, including Thurston, Whatcom, Pierce, King, Snohomish. A couple other rural counties have since joined the conversation. So we're learning from each other, and we've conducted some outreach efforts, including what's shown here. In this past fall of 2023, we presented at the 15th annual South Sound Real Estate Forum and had quite a lot of conversations with folks, most of whom had not yet heard of CPACER. So again, confirming that it's just a new concept here in Washington. So our 2024 objectives are just modest objectives to receive and process our first application and continue outreach and education at the local and state levels. Thank you.
All right, well, great. Thank you so much for the update, Rebecca. And definitely sounds like you've been definitely doing a lot of activities throughout 2023 in this case to prime certainly the opportunity for Thurston. And we definitely hope that you're able to get that first application and then get that first project closed. That really would be great to hear about that. Any questions for Rebecca? I'm not seeing any coming through the chat at this point. All right. Well, Rebecca, thank you so much for coming on and providing your first update for us here on these Roundup calls. And again, much success and luck to you in 2024.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you again. All right. We'll go back further east now to Wisconsin. And let's now give the mic to Kimberly. Kimberly, the floor is now yours.
Okay, thanks, Nick. Well, Wisconsin continued to see a lot of growth in 2023. We closed 13 projects, funding more than 29.4 million in clean energy updates. The projects were across market sectors, so everything from multifamily, hospitality, senior living facilities. We had some cold storage, warehouses, and mixed-use facilities or mixed-use properties. Those projects were a mix of both new construction, adaptive retrofits, and some refinancing. Our PACE Wisconsin program has closed 99 projects to date, totaling a little over 187 million in CPACE financing. And with that, we currently have 52 participating counties across the state of Wisconsin, along with the City of Milwaukee's independent program. This year, we're continuing to do marketing, education, and outreach for counties, municipalities, developers. We're also working with our utility partners across the state, which have been excellent stakeholders for us to help get information to commercial property owners where we would most likely not be able to do so given the geography. Some of the pipeline is looking really good for 2024. We already have one of the newly adopted counties have application that's currently submitted. So trends in Wisconsin, we're experiencing a lot what we're seeing across the state or across the country, it sounds like. A lot of multifamily new construction along with hospitality too. And I think I've saved at least 5 minutes for Josh on the end, but that's Wisconsin in a nutshell. And I believe I did mention we just added Greene County on last week. And then at the end of the year, we added on Clark County, a county up north. So both of those are rather diverse. One is a large rural cheese production community. The northern county has an adaptive retrofit project that is currently going through an application process. So we're glad that we are closing the gap on the communities left to adopt PACE.
All right. Well, yeah, thank you so much for the update, Kimberly. And I know you've been telling me about you being a road warrior of late. When I was hounding you for basically clarification on your slide, and then certainly you were telling me you were going to all different far reaches of the state last week. So again, all your work definitely I think is paying off in this case to get more of the program exposed to CPACE. So that's really great what you've been doing, and as well as your program team. Just one question of clarification. The actual project activity numbers in this case, does this also include the Milwaukee area as well?
It does not include the Milwaukee area. There may be some slight programmatic updates later this year that will be coming out from Tim Hawley and myself. And that would not affect the state of Wisconsin, but that would be for the city proper. They had some closed projects and they have a nice pipeline. And I know that some of the individuals were talking about smaller projects. We are working with local CDFIs to look at into being lenders in the Milwaukee area, also as acting as good stakeholders and education sources for CPACE.
Got it. All right. Well, thank you so much for that update as well. Okay, actually, I just saw we got. Okay, actually, yeah, Tim was just also clarifying in his case that Milwaukee County and the rest of southeast Wisconsin are in the PACE Wisconsin statewide program. So he just wants to make that clear in his case, and he provided information in the chat just now. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for the update, Kimberly. We appreciate it. And of course, best of luck to the Wisconsin program in the coming year.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you again. All right. Well, last but not least, let's go to the central part of the United States with the state of Missouri. And I believe now I'm handing the mic over to Angela. So Angela,
Yes.
take it away.
I'm Angela Gordon. Can you hear me? Am I on mute? Okay.
No, you're coming through loud and clear.
I just want to make sure. I am the final act of the show. I just began at the Missouri Energy Initiative 2 months ago as the PACE manager. I work for Josh Campbell, who is the who's the foundation of MEI, and he continues to be that foundation, but he thought he'd give me a chance to kind of get my sea legs. I prepared this slide, and when I prepared it, I thought we had completed 3 projects, but we completed another project right at the end of the year. So actually in 2023, we completed 4 projects for a total investment of $35,593,000. So that was a nice find there. That's pretty slow for us, actually. Normally we complete about 6 projects a year, but this year there was only 4. However, one of them was the largest CPACE program of the 3 programs that we administer, the Show Me PACE program, the Set the PACE program, and the St. Louis County Energy Savings Program. We completed the largest project of those programs' history this year. And we also had record investment in the state of Missouri, despite the rising interest rates, which we think contributed to some of the slowness. In 2024, we want to continue growth in PACE districts, and we just had a community approve a new PACE ordinance. So we're starting the year off right there. We also want to work with stakeholders throughout the state for the integration of greenhouse gas and IRA funds to ensure that CPACE is part of that capital stack that developers are using in order to optimize their projects. So that is what we're doing in Missouri. Any questions?
All right.
And it's exactly 4:30.
In this case, 5:30 on the East Coast in this case.
Yes.
And so, but yes, thank you for that presentation and update, Angela. We appreciate it, especially you getting thrown to the wolves here so quickly in your short tenure so far as in managing the Missouri programs. So again, we appreciate
It's good practice.
No, you're perfectly fine. So I don't see any questions coming from the chat at this point. So, okay. So then again, thank you so much for your update today. And again, we wish you and Josh a lot of luck with your programs in the coming year. All right. So yes, with that concludes the first half of our national roundup calls. And again, we appreciate everybody joining and sticking with us throughout the course of this call today. And of course, it's just a reminder, we have another slate of presenters of different CPACE programs across the country who will be presenting this upcoming Thursday, January 25th at 4 o'clock Eastern as well. And so we hope that you all will return and you'll come to take a listen to all of those presenters who will then give their updates on their programs. So again, thank you so much for joining us here for today. And of course, we really do hope to see you back here again this upcoming Thursday. So thank you again and have a pleasant evening.